All right, what's going on, guys? So today is pretty special. We are actually going to be discussing Treyarch's 2023 title, their new project that they're working on, and the potential of a either Black Ops 2 remaster as that project or something very similar to that. Since Vanguard Zombies is pretty much shot in terms of how much of the community actually cares about the game, we're talking about something today that's far more interesting, and of course, that being Treyarch's next project or their next actual major release. And there's a lot happening at Activision right now. There's a lot of moving parts, I would say. But from what we understand right now, we can sort of get a base understanding of what the game is going to entail in what we assume will be 2023. Now, as always, it's important to take leaks and a lot of this really early info with an absolute truckload of salt to an extent, because a lot of these things, of course, are either subject to change, may not be in the game at all. You guys know the drill. But I would expect a lot of this to have implementation in their next project for sure. So we are going to dive into all this stuff today. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like rating, subscribe if you're brand new as well. Before we dive into everything, I do want to take a moment to thank today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Dragon City. This is a free-to-play game in which you can collect thousands of dragons of different elements and different rarities to create your own empire. You can collect food, gold, and gems to facilitate your city and level it up. You can also breed dragons to create new ones and evolve them as well. The possibilities are absolutely endless. Also, if you're into combat and PvP battles, you can also go battle in the arena fights and establish dominance against other dragon masters. Alongside the PvP mode, the game also has weekly events and a battle pass so that you can consistently claim new prizes and also have tasks to do. The progression is extremely rewarding, and I know you'll find it enjoyable. They also have YouTuber dragons. Maybe one day you'll catch me as a dragon in this game. Honestly, who knows? Currently, Mariah Elizabeth is the featured dragon for this month, so if any of this interests you, make sure to download the game using the link in the description, and all new downloaders using the link below will get 15,000 food, 30,000 gold, and the Iceling dragon to start out with. So thank you very much to Dragon City for sponsoring this video. Make sure to go and check it out. So getting back on topic here, where did all of these rumors come from that suggesting that Treyarch is working on some sort of Black Ops 2-like game or a BO2 remaster of sorts? This is actually coming from Tom Henderson, who a few months ago tweeted about this, and he's basically gotten everything right about leaks within the past like 5 years, so an incredibly reliable source. But he mentions that Treyarch's new project is a Black Ops 2 like game, and of course this can imply a lot of things. For the most part, this would seem to mean that both the campaign and the multiplayer would be fundamentally based around the time period of the near future, and it seems like that actually is the case. However, zombies, and that's the thing that we're usually more concerned about here, usually gets a pass from all of this being locked down to a time period stuff. Black Ops 3, even though it was a futuristic type game, most of it actually did not take place anywhere near the future. Cold War, for example, also was more so tied to that era, but not entirely. But I think the most fundamental thing to take away from this tweet is the point he's trying to make, which is probably the time period that's pinned down to is going to be something like near future, where Black Ops 2 took place or does take place, and then also boots on the ground combat experience. This is something that other leaks have suggested, not necessarily Tom Henderson himself, but other leaks have pointed to the fact that Treyarch's next game, or their title that they're working on, is also a boots on the ground video game, which is somewhat divisive to the community right now in a weird turn of events. A lot of people have been asking for advanced movement to return, and you can debate whether that's the right move or not. The point is, it seems to be that boots on the ground will be still happening in COD 2023. Now, some images of the next game have been going around, and you may have seen these, you may have not, but they have been floating around the internet a little bit, and it seems to suggest that these are actually photos of the new COD in a very, very early alpha build. I'll go ahead and put some of these up on screen so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Now, you're going to see these screenshots and immediately think this is just taken from Cold War, and that is entirely possible. We don't have verification for 100% accuracy that this is COD 2023, but from what we understand, the titles actually line up correctly as far as their internal test builds, so it would make sense. That, and also the fact that Call of Duty always builds their new games basically off the skeleton of the previous game. That's why there's so many like hidden BO4 assets in Cold War and stuff, and whatever their next title is, I imagine is going to have or be built off of a lot of Cold War assets. So it's extremely early development, and that's why you'd see these. But there's one in particular that's quite interesting, and you're going to notice this one right here is mentioning zombies factions. Now, the logos themselves are from Cold War. These are a lot of the like actual factions that exist within the storyline. online, and we don't know if this was supposed to exist for Cold War Zombies, but I actually did get some real answers from Treyarch about what factions was supposed to be. I talked to Jason Blundell about this a few years back, and he mentioned this system was essentially supposed to be a feature in which you join one of the factions of your choice, and you're given like different sets of seasonal challenges and things to complete within the game to like basically rank up or score points in some sense for your faction. And like at the end of every season, whoever, whatever faction ended up scoring the most would win and get prizes and rewards, things like that. Obviously the details are still quite scam, and I wasn't able to get that much out of it, but from what I understand, this faction system was supposed to be something where like you get incentive to play the game and do challenges, and you're all working towards a goal with whoever else is in that faction as well. And the rewards obviously again are unspoken of. We don't know, because it was supposed to be implemented back in Black Ops 4, and of course that never happened. And from what these screenshots suggest, they were at least maybe tinkered with for Cold War, or that's what the base assets are right now. I'm not really sure. Is it a good idea? Potentially. I don't really know how it would play out in game, but it is something that suggests that maybe they're actually working on this feature for their next title. Now, I'm going to come back to COD 2023 in just a second, but I really want to speak about Chronicles 2 for a moment. And the thing is, like, I feel like because we mentioned it before and how Treyarch is open to the idea of Chronicles 2 if they see the community is passionate enough about it for it, I feel like the way that I've been seeing the community recently, it doesn't seem like the community morale is there for that to happen. And this is important because I feel like this will play into COD 2023 in a sense, but it doesn't seem like we'll actually be getting a Chronicles 2 for Cold War because like most of the community just doesn't have the morale or the energy to make that happen. And that's not me implying one way or the other that they should add Chronicles 2 to Cold War, because there's pros and cons to both situations. In some sense, I do feel like one of the solutions to this is actually to not have Chronicles 2 spoiled in Cold War, but to have some degree of either ports or remastered Black Ops 2 Zombies maps in Treyarch's next title, which I think is entirely possible. I made a video recently called My Plan to Save Call of Duty Zombies. For those of you who've seen it, I was pretty much discussing the idea that I had where like maybe they should do something of like a Halo MCC or even a Battlefield Portal where you have the ability to play these games or these zombie maps on the engines and the mechanics that were meant for them. So instead of like, again, retrofitting something like Buried to be compatible with Cold War or even their next game, to make it where you can actually play BO2 Buried in and of itself, maybe with a bit, nicer textures and stuff like that, but for the most part remains the same. I feel like if that were somehow technologically implementable, it would go over so well with the community. And that's also where a lot of the Black Ops 2 remastered talk is coming from for COD 2023, is their ability to recreate these experiences from Black Ops 2 and add them to their next game, or again, make them portable in some capacity. We do know from Cold War, they worked on a lot of MP maps and recreating those BO2 ones for Cold War, and I would say, all in all, I don't play MP a ton, so a lot of you guys who play it more than I do probably could tell me better, but a lot of those ended up playing pretty well on like a new engine, all things considered. Maybe not exactly like they did back in the day, but close enough in a sense. But I guess we'll wait and see. I think there is a lot of room for implementation of these really iconic Black Ops 2 experiences that could be integrated very well into COD 2023. Now, to pivot back to the actual game that we know is being worked on, Kevin Drew has been tweeting recently about some of the community's reviews of Cold War's mechanics, specifically things like the field upgrades, perks, and also even the alternate ammo types. Let you take a look at a few of these. It's really weird because these are actually rated by least favorite instead of most favorite, so just keep that in mind. But they were just trying to get a gauge on what everybody's least favorite perks were, alternate ammo types, and even field upgrades to ideally either rework for the next game or somehow see a better implementation. And I feel like that's exactly what these surveys were for, because they are still probably going to move forward with most of these mechanics and hopefully expand on them or something in the future. Another thing is we also know for sure they are working on real actual round-based maps for the next project too. Many people were concerned that like, oh god, with Duran Fong, with Vanguard Zombies, this is like, the coup de grace for round-based maps, and they're not going to be working on these anymore. Kevin Drew did reply to somebody talking about this on Twitter and basically denied it. Treyarch is making actual round-based maps, and also they are still continuing work on Outbreak, or at least some iteration or maybe better implementation of that mode in particular. This is extremely good news for me as somebody who adored Outbreak and Cold War. Obviously, it had its problems and flaws, but really had a ton of potential, and I think they could actually grab it and catalyze it in their next game, which is exciting. It has still by far the best Treyarch boss fight that's ever existed. But at least when it comes to like rough ideas and plans that Treyarch have for the future of zombies, this is a pretty good grip on it. But the thing is, like I said at the beginning of the video, there are so many things that are shifting right now with Activision and with COD in general, and I would even just say the gaming landscape as a whole, that 2023 is still pretty far away as far as game cycles go, and a lot could change in the meantime. I really do think this project could either be completely shifted or reworked somehow, and it may not even be what we're expecting it to. Like, COD could undergo some major changes here in the next upcoming year or so. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, I think at the end of the day, regardless if it's a faithful, real Black Ops 2 remaster that we see implemented somehow in 2023, or it's a Black Ops 2 like game, or maybe it's none of those things at all. At the end of the day, people just want good video games to play. So I would say Treyarch, Activision, and everyone involved, they have obviously got a lot to get sorted out in the next couple of years, but at least to a degree, we know kind of where it's headed, and as far as I'm concerned, it sounds, a lot of it sounds really good, and I'm excited to update you guys as we go along, and hopefully, you know, come time 2023, the game is actually stellar, so we'll have to wait and see on that. But anyways, guys, that's going to be pretty much it for the video today. I did want to talk about COD 2023 Zombies, and more specifically what's happening with it. I am going to be talking about Modern Warfare 2, or I guess this upcoming year's Call of Duty very soon in a video as well, so make sure to subscribe and stick around for that. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like, and also go follow me over on Twitch. I stream almost every day. Link to that's in the description. I would love to see you over there, and it would be a great time. But yeah, have a great rest of your day, guys, and I will see you all in the next one. Take it easy, and peace out.